Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. I'm Mark Goldbridge and it's an absolute disgrace. Liverpool are back. Well, that's what we're going to be talking about. We're also going to talk a little bit about Arsenal as well as we hit 2024, and I hope for better in football analysis, I suppose, because I don't think it's going to change. I find it incredible, actually. Look, I'm talking about mainstream here. I'm talking about social media. Wake up this morning. I did the match reaction last night. I thought it was a fantastic game between Liverpool and Newcastle. The same with Arsenal fans on Arteta as well, which we'll talk about. But Liverpool are back. Liverpool with the VAR in the middle. Liverpool are back. Some people calling Klopp a disgrace. Some people saying that Liverpool are diving for penalties. I just think there is this. Football is such an amazing sport, isn't it? And that reminds me, I'll tell you what is back. Goldbridge Saves Football. Check out the new episode. We're talking the title race. We're talking new Premier League predictions. Pratt of the week. Either ors. A new game. Check it out. The Goldbridge Saves Football podcast is going massive in 2024, and it's all because of you. So make sure you get involved in that. But back on the show. Incredible reaction to what only can be described as bitterness. And I think we need to be better in 2024, not bitter. And what I mean by that is that this is just clouded judgments based on emotion. A lot of people don't like Liverpool. A lot of people don't like Manchester United. A lot of people don't like Arsenal. That's just the way it is. But we can be better in our analysis. And to wake up and see some of the comments and clips and audio of various people talking about the Liverpool result last night and talking about how Newcastle were robbed and how Liverpool are a disgrace and how, they were diving and this, that and the other. And I just go, look, hold on a minute. Like, there's a reality bite here. I don't actually think, I think there's an interesting take to be had. It actually came from the podcast. Shout out to Keith. We on the podcast last week said, if anyone's got the time to do it, can you break down how VAR has impacted this title race? So Keith broke it down. He obviously took a bit of time to do this, and he said, look, I'll be generous. Man City should probably have 2 points less than they've got in relation to VAR decisions that have gone their way, and certainly Liverpool could have another 5. That'd be a 7-point swing. That's massive in a title race. Not to mention Arsenal should have another 3 points and Aston Villa could have another 3 as well. So look, VAR has had a big impact on Liverpool this season and other clubs. So to start talking about penalties and saying Liverpool are back, I just think it's incredibly naive, bitter, and not very good analysis, if I'm being honest. I watched that game last night. I thought it was fantastic. And I also thought that I found it a little bit weird that Diaz and Jota went down because they've got open goals, basically, or very easy chances, and they went down. I thought the Jota one more than the Diaz one, but he's got an open goal. He's only robbing himself if the referee goes, that's a dive, you're not having it, because he could have stayed on his feet and scored. I don't get the point. And they missed the Diaz penalty anyway. Liverpool had 34 chances. Their XG, or expected goals, was 7. Newcastle really smashed and grabbed 2 goals, and fair play to them. But Liverpool could have won that game 9-0. There is no injustice in that game. There is no disgrace in that game. There is no crying in that game. If Newcastle had got a point, we'd be here talking today about how wasteful Liverpool have been at Anfield in their last 3 home games against United, Arsenal and Newcastle. It was an absolute stonewaller Liverpool win. There is no disgrace. There is no argument. We need to do better when we're analysing football because the mainstream don't get it. I don't think a lot of people get it. Maybe we've got the secret sauce. I don't know. But in reality, there is a way to analyse football better than has been done recently. We do not need to blow up out of proportion events and start calling injustice and cheating and all this, that and the other. There's plenty of stuff we can call out for that without having to go pretending or making it up. Bottom line, Liverpool deserved to beat Newcastle. There was a few interesting decisions in the game, but it had no impact on the game. There was no injustice. And Liverpool at this moment in time deserve to be top of the league. Newcastle have got their own problems. I don't think Eddie Howe would be there at the end of the game crying. And I didn't really notice Jurgen Klopp behaving in any particularly bad way either. I also think, moving on to Arsenal, Arteta's approach to the last 2 games has been very mature. For a manager that gets levelled at him that he's a bit over exuberant and can be a little bit of a bad loser, I think he's taken it on the chin, the West Ham and the Fulham games, quite well. Probably noting what we're all noting. Saka sort of symbolises that team. He looks tired. They look tired. They look out of ideas. They look like they're missing a couple of players. The reality of this Premier League season is that you can't have the rainbow without the rain. And what I mean by that is you can't have the most competitive Premier League season without Fulham's and West Ham's beating Arsenal. You can't have that without, Man United going to Anfield and getting a 0-0 draw after being beaten there 7-0. These setbacks for the teams at the top actually make the league really, really interesting. Man City dropping points as well. So I do think that, the extremes of it, it's almost like we can't appreciate what we have. We can't appreciate that we've got a fantastic league and we have to go finding drama in things that aren't there. You go back to the Arsenal-Man City game. If that had ended in a draw, Kovacic should have been sent off twice. That's a huge drama and a huge talking point. But it's not a huge talking point that Jota may or may not dived in a game that Liverpool could have won 9-0. It's just Liverpool deserve to be where they are at the moment. And I think the biggest story for me is instead of chasing whether Liverpool are getting decisions because they had that goal disallowed at Spurs, maybe we should be talking about the signing of Endo, the signing of McAllister, the signing of Gravenberch, the development of Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott, Szoboszlai, Gakpo, the options, the multiple options he's got in that midfield, and the fact that Liverpool might even try and buy somebody else in January, which they've done well in the past. I think Liverpool are a fascinating story, even as a Manchester United fan. And I've just lost my thing here because I'm being a little bit naughty. Let me just knock that off. It is absolutely fascinating, and I find it fascinating as well at the moment. But on a second point, let me just bring Arsenal into this question. Arsenal, 1 minute, what's going on here? Let me just send this. Arsenal. Look, this is even more funny than the Liverpool stuff. I've looked around, I don't normally do this, but I've looked around social media at the reaction to Arsenal's recent results, and the amount of people pinning it on Arteta is incredible. Now, I go in more depth in this on the podcast and the Liverpool story, so make sure you check it out. But I just find the Arsenal reaction to losing 2 games really, really, and there is more depth in the podcast, but really, really odd. I even saw somebody describing Arteta as, worse than Emery was at Arsenal. I don't know how that works. Our Brendan Rodgers, because Brendan Rodgers bottled the title. And you know what? I sort of agree with that. Brendan Rodgers did a very good job at Liverpool. An unprecedented job. He took a Liverpool team that had never won the Premier League and nearly won the Premier League. So Brendan Rodgers actually did a good job. But what really amazes me is that that's a negative. Brendan Rodgers is seen as a bottler because he let it slip. That's fine. But Liverpool had never won the Premier League before then. He over-exceeded, some might say. And Arteta's doing the same thing. There is this belief in the Arsenal fan base amongst a certain small section of their fan base that Arteta needs to go because he's not good enough to win the title. Hello, wake up and smell the coffee. You're not good enough to win the title. That's why you're not winning the title. It's not your manager. Your team's not good enough to win the title. He's done a great job to get you where you are, but you're not title winners. I don't know what you're talking about. You're going to win the league. You're not good enough. Liverpool have got a better team than you and a better squad than you and a better coach than you. And Man City certainly do. Arsenal will probably finish 2nd or 3rd this year. If they win the league, it'll be a miracle because you're not as good. You haven't got a first team that's got the depth or the balance of a Liverpool or a Manchester City. And the reason for that is because you've not been at it as long. This Liverpool squad has been tinkered with, but still has the fundamentals of players that won the Champions League and the Premier League before and have been in multiple Premier League title races. And they've got a manager who's done that as well. Man City are a juggernaut. Arsenal have got a manager that's stopping them winning the league. You know what's stopping you winning the league? The fact that you haven't got a striker, the fact that you haven't got a number 8 to play next to Declan Rice, and the fact that you haven't got 2 really good fullbacks. Ben White's a centre-back, and I don't think Zinchenko's good enough. You need a number 8 next to Declan Rice. Whether you play him every game or not, you need one. And you definitely need a striker. So that's why you're not winning the league. You're quite limited when things don't go your way. But, the spoilt behaviour is hilarious. Anyway, get your comments in below. What are your thoughts on everything from the weekend? And my thought, do you think Liverpool are getting a rub of the green? Or do you think it's just a ridiculous overreaction? And what are your thoughts on Arsenal? And don't forget to check out the podcast. Link is in the description and in the video description and the top comments as well. It's a cracking podcast. It's great to be back in 2024. And if you've not checked out Goldbridge Saves Football, you really need to, because I think if you enjoy this channel, you're going to love the podcast. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you all soon.